What's going on there, YouTube world? Austin Lewis here, coming to you guys with another YouTube video, and this video is going to actually be a little bit different. I've had a lot of you guys reaching out to me for if you guys are brand new here. You know, my good friend Tommy Bryson, he is an absolute stud on YouTube. I've seen him go from zero to an absolutely hero, you know, now reaching a little over 141,000 subscribers. I know Tommy is going to end up watching this video, so Tommy, for you, my man, you are a stud. Everybody, definitely go subscribe to Tommy if you guys have not watched his videos. But I'm going to be actually reacting, again, very different video, reacting to his how to start an ATM business, $3,683 per month video, and kind of see how legitimate it really is. I've had a lot of requests in my DMs to do a reaction video on this video, just simply due to the fact that, no disrespect whatsoever, but Tommy Bryson, I don't think, is in the ATM business where, however, we currently are, you know, with a little over 100 ATM machines in the United States today. So in scaling fast. So we're gonna do a reaction video. If you guys haven't already, make sure and smash the thumbs up button on this video. Make sure and subscribe if you guys are just now watching this and you guys are brand new to this channel. Turn on the notification bell because we upload weekly, couple times a week. So we're gonna get started. His intro is gonna be his intro. It's a longer video, so we're gonna do it. So here it is.
Business. Now, I personally always wondered this because every single time I use an ATM outside, I'm like, wow, if this was my ATM, I could be making money just by having people like come use my ATM just for the simple fact of convenience because they don't have any cash on them. So like all of these videos that I make on how to start a specific type of business, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what to expect when you start this business. It's like the startup costs, the expenses, the profit, the challenges, and every single thing that you can do to actually get this business started in the best way possible, honestly.
First of all, let's just say this. So whenever I used an ATM, and maybe you guys are exactly the same thing, whenever I used an ATM, I never thought for once that, holy cow, I could own this and make money from this. I didn't believe that. I didn't think that. So Tommy's an absolute stud of a dude in actually thinking that, because I just assumed, right, like majority of us have, I just assumed that all of the banks owned the ATMs. So I didn't think I could actually own an ATM.
And not just like me telling you like, oh, you do this, you do that, but actually giving you guys the suppliers, the cost of everything. Because like my last video, I think that was yesterday, where I told you guys like, hey, this is how you start a gumball machine, and I told you guys exactly where to get it, exactly the price. I want to make sure with all of these videos on starting a business that you guys have all the information you possibly need, because a lot of YouTubers out there are just telling you like, hey, just start this or start that and start this, and you're like sitting down and you're like, okay, so how do I do that exactly? How do I get started? So rather than having to figure all that out, I want to make sure that I give you guys all the information right now. So for the first part is how much money does it actually take to actually start this business. We like to call that in business the startup cost. That means like how much money does it cost to start the ATM business, how much money does it cost to actually buy the ATM, how much money does it cost for every single thing out there. So rather than tell you guys an estimate, I'm actually going to call CardTron. And if you don't...
First of all, I would never, ladies and gentlemen, in a million years call CardTron. I am sorry, CardTron, but you know, they're such a large company. And so for those of you that are actually going to be getting into the ATM business, it's actually better for individuals to go with a smaller company, because a smaller company does not have to charge a higher processing fee. See, larger companies like the one that he had mentioned here, they actually are able to, you know, charge individuals more money on per processing because they just simply can. And a company that is fairly large in the ATM business and can actually go out there and overcharge or take more of the processing fee for individuals that ultimately don't really know any better is quite easy and simple for larger companies to do. So, you know, the company that he's actually going to be calling and getting some information on, and I'll share with you guys what, you know, a little bit about it. Yeah, I just wouldn't go with a larger processing. I wouldn't go with a larger processing company. And the reason being is because they're going to take more percentage of the transaction that is essentially yours. So you're going to buy the ATM from them. They're going to make money there, and they're going to put you in a contract. They're going to make interchange, and they're going to do the processing for you. That way they earn the interchange. And not only that, they're going to take an on top processing fee. Now, obviously, depending on the situation, right? If a company is able to give you a lot of value and they're able to, essentially teach you and coach you through on how to scale your business, then sure, absolutely. That's worth 10, 15, 20 cents a transaction. But if they're just merely gonna literally ship it to you, install it for an extra $300, and they're gonna walk away from it, and then they're gonna take 25 cents or 26 cents or 18 cents a transaction, I'm not sure that you guys want that. So I know a lot of new people that are getting into the business that are gonna be getting less profits and getting their hopes up because 18 cents a transaction doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot, especially when you do 18 cents times 500 times. 500 transactions times 18 cents. I don't know, what is that, Coda? That's another $90 a month that they are making, the processing company, rather than you. So I don't know about you, but $90 a month is an extra $1,200 a year off one ATM. That's pretty spectacular.
I don't know who CardTron is. CardTron is one of the #1 distributors of ATMs out there, and this is the cool thing about CardTron, right? CardTron provides you an ATM. Remember, it's always new. You always want to buy a new ATM because if you buy one from Craigslist, next thing you know, that person's stealing people's credit card information by having some fraudulent stuff installed in that ATM. Next thing you know, it breaks down or anything like that, and it's going to cost you more money than it actually makes you. So you don't want that. You want to make sure you get something new. So go to CardTronics, and they hook you up, right, with the ATM, and they also hook you up with a back office. If you don't know what a back office is, that's basically, for example, right, you're probably asking yourself, Tommy, if I have an ATM, how would I know when I have to go in and reload it? How would I know how much transactions are happening? How would I know that the location is actually working? The way you actually do it, when you buy an ATM from CardTronics, they send you like text. They send you an entire list, and you can actually go online and check this out, and it tells you like, hey, you had this many transactions this month, this many transactions this week, hey, your ATM is running low on money, you have to go and refill it, and it tells you all this stuff. So it's not like a guessing game anymore, but it's kind of like you have control over everything, which is very specific, right? So I'm going to actually go ahead and call CardTronics. This is a phone number. It's also in the link down below, so don't worry if you don't know the phone number. You don't have to pause the video. It's down there below. We're going to call them. Hopefully they're still available, and if they're not, I know the price for the ATM, so I might as well just tell you, but let's try to call them so we can get the information straight from the horse's mouth.
So just to give you guys a heads up and an idea, it is almost protocol for these larger companies that what they do is, they have a sales line, and this sales line, you reach out to a representative. This representative then is told not to tell them anything about the ATM machine. She has no idea how much it costs. First of all, I'm just curious. How do you have an administrative assistant, sit at the front of your desk, see you in and out of the office multiple times a day, see you sell these ATMs, chances are probably hears you on the phone with these ATMs, but yet still can't tell you how much an ATM costs? I find it very interesting. Now, the reason being, ladies and gentlemen, that you'll call a company like that, they'll say, oh yeah, our sales guys are out right now. Why are your guys' sales guys out? Like, what's the point? Why are they, where are they at, right? What are they doing? Selling so many ATM machines? No, of course not. They're probably just busy on the phone with 1,000 other guys that called this phone, right? So these admins are taught and trained very well to, hey, schedule a thing with the sales guy, and the sales guy's essentially going to, sell you, do what salespeople do. So we're gonna listen to this call, see how it goes. And mind you have it, they are never. If you call a company right now, try to buy an ATM right now, they can't do it. Why? Because the admin will say, oh, yep, sales guys are out. They say it every single time. Every single time. If you don't believe me, definitely just Google a large company and call them, and they won't answer. If they do answer, it'll be their admin saying that their salespeople are out, and they'll call you tomorrow.
Thank you for calling CardTron. This is Amber. How can I help you?
Hey, is your name Amber?
Yes.
Oh, awesome, Amber. My name is Tommy. I'm just calling in today about some information about the ATMs and stuff like that.
Okay. Are you a technician or?
No, I'm an independent business, so I want to start the ATM business. I want to start putting ATMs around my neighborhood and stuff like that.
Okay. So what I will have to do, our sales team is actually out for the day, so I can go ahead and send them over an email with your information, and they can get in contact with you tomorrow. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's awesome, Amber. But do you have some estimates for the prices and stuff like that? Like some estimates. It doesn't have to be specific. Like for the average ATM and stuff like that.
Honestly, I have no idea.
You have no idea? It blows my mind. I mean, my girlfriend knows how much an ATM costs, and she has no idea about the ATM business. My sister knows how much an ATM costs.
That call wasn't successful. I want you guys to understand something, right? Whenever you're calling anyone, this is just a tip, by the way. Make sure you always use their first name. Make sure you're always nice and cordial.
Good tip, Tommy.
Trying to find solutions for everything, right?
Very relatable.
We didn't get the exact price for the ATM, but I personally know how much the ATM actually costs because I know the model of everything, and I made sure I did my research, right? The ATM costs around $2,200, and it rolls around $16,000 to $24,000 at any time. So if you have that amount of money, that's cool, right? But don't get scared, guys, because that's not how much money you actually need to actually get started. So let me explain, right?
So first of all, it just depends on the company. It depends on the processing fees. It depends on the contracts. An ATM doesn't technically cost $2,295 or whatever the price that it is that he said there. It fluctuates, right? There's some companies that charge you more for an ATM. And then there's some companies that charge you less for an ATM, depending on what the transaction history of the ATM is, or if you have a transaction history, or what they're doing processing. Of course, it makes all sense in the world for a processing company, like a larger company that you bought the ATM from, to say, yeah, I'll give it to you for, $2,200, and then, I'll take 24 cents a transaction. Well, of course, it makes all sense in the world. Why? Because we just did the math earlier. 500 transactions at 18 cents is an extra $90 a month. So now they're not just ripping you for the $2,200 for the ATM and giving it to you at their cost. Now they're making $90 a month, so they makes the upfront cost seem sexier to you and I, but really on the end of the day, they are taking more money from you because they're taking that $90 every single month for that processing fee. So find that quite interesting, ladies and gentlemen.
First of all, let's get our calculators out because you guys know I like to do the math for everything, right? So say the average, and let's go high, right? Like, always go high because maybe the expense is high, so if you prepare for something high and it's lower, then you're good. But if you prepare for something that's lower and then it ends up being more, then you're probably screwed, right? So let's say the average ATM price is around $2,200. By the way, the ATM model and everything is going to be down there, so don't worry about it, right? You need $2,200 to actually buy the ATM, but you don't need to buy an ATM, and this is my main thing, right? You don't need to buy an ATM until you assure a customer. What does this mean, Tommy? What does it mean that we don't need to buy an ATM until we assure a customer? What this means is, whenever you plan on getting into this business, if you do, well, what you have to do is you go, for example, I saw this salon in my neighborhood, and this salon is always busy, right? So I can imagine that maybe sometimes people come in with a card, and they need to swipe, and they don't take credit cards, It's a cash business. So maybe they might need an ATM in that business, right? So I might go in there, and I might tell the business owner, I might say, hey, are you interested in having a free ATM installed here? You don't have to worry about maintenance or anything. We handle everything. And on top of that, for the convenience of having an ATM, you also get paid for having this ATM here installed for free.
Amazing, ladies and gentlemen. His sales psychology was incredible. That is exactly what our sales guys do as well. They say, hey, we're looking at placing a few free ATMs in the locations in the area. Is that something that you would be interested in? Now, what we typically don't do is we typically don't come at you right away and say, hey, yeah, we'll give you 50 cents a transaction, simply due to the fact that to run the ATM business, you got to do the startup costs, you got to do install, you got to do Wi-Fi box or Ethernet cable, and then you got to actually provide the cash inside the ATM. So, there is a lot of benefits for a business owner to actually get an ATM inside their shop. And, a couple of those consist of this. A couple of those consist of, personally, it's better marketing. It's higher credibility to have an ATM machine inside your location, regardless of if you make money from it or not. And 3, customers. It's almost like an amenity at a business, right? Or let's just say you and I are shopping at apartments. We find or we see that they having a pool and them having a gym makes all of the difference if I'm gonna rent that apartment or not. Me personally, I would never rent an apartment if it didn't have a gym. I would never rent an apartment if it didn't have a pool. Of course, now I live in Arizona, so we need pools year round. So having a ATM inside of your business, your barbershop, your marketplace, your salon is more credibility, attracts more people that are foot traffic, and not only that, it's a sense of ease or amenities to your guys' customers.
She's gonna be like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Wow, right? It's gonna work, right? So when she tells me, okay, and we sign a contract going month to month, and also giving me the right at any time to actually remove my ATM if it's not working, then we can assure and order the ATM on the phone. And just to be honest with you guys, we do not do month-to-month contracts. We actually do 3 to 10-year contracts. The last thing I want to do based on metrics, but again, this is where it's a little bit different because we're actually in the ATM business. We know metrics. We know how much the ATM is going to produce based on foot traffic. Most businesses know their foot traffic. Most businesses know how many customers they have on average every single week because of the amount of money and revenue that they're created. Again, Exxon knows how many sales that they're going to do in 2021 of oil because it's all projected. They know their data, and so do we. So we actually do 3-year contracts in a 90-day trial period where
within 90 days. If the ATM does not perform at what we are looking for, then we are allowed to remove that ATM and go put it in a different location. I typically don't say do month-to-month locations simply due to the fact of you would end up losing so many ATM locations. It would absolutely be unbelievable. 1 month you'd install an ATM, you'd invest all of that time, energy, and money, and then the next month you'd be investing all that same time, energy, and money removing it from the location, which let me tell you is an absolute hassle. We've had to do it a couple of times, and that's why we moved from a 1-year contract to a 3-year contract, and now we're anywhere between 3 and 10 years. That way you have the ease, you have the mind sense of knowing that for 3 years, if that ATM makes $200 a month, for 3 years, ladies and gentlemen, you will be making that $200 a month for the next 3 years. It guarantees you that passive income that you're looking for inside the ATM business.
You don't have to buy an ATM and then start looking like crazy. You can just wait until you have a guaranteed customer that signed a contract, then you can order the ATM and actually have it installed into that business, right? So that's around, let's pull up our calculator again, right? So say you did your research, you have a customer, blah, 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 and that costs around $2,200, right? You only really need, and this is my main thing, right? You only really need around $2,000 to start, right? Maybe $2,000, even $1,000. Because remember, right? The money isn't really ever being spent. It's just being recycled. You put the money in, somebody takes it out, it goes straight to your bank account in around 24 hours, and that's about it, right? And then you just put it right back in. So it doesn't matter. Don't worry. And by the way, be very careful when you're reloading ATMs because it's very, you have to be careful with everything. So always be on guard and always be aware. So you only need around $2,200 for the ATM, and you need around another $2,000 for the actual money that you're actually going to load into it. You do need a couple other things, and I'm going to include this. So that's like around, maybe let's say like $500 extra. And this is like to actually form an LLC, actually get a lawyer, actually create contracts, and all these things. All these things are important, guys, because, and by the way, when I say a contract, I mean creating a contract that when you go to the business owner, you say, hey, you're going to be locked in for every month, month to month. And the reason I say month to month and not yearly is because no one wants to be locked into a contract for so long. It's not feasible these days, right? Yeah, and that's basically it. That's all it really takes is.
So it is feasible. It is feasible to get people to, because again, you're a good service. It's credibility, right? I guarantee if you do a 90-day trial period and that customer of yours that has that ATM inside that barbershop, inside that location, you never let it run out of money. It never services down. It's always a clean machine. They want to keep that ATM machine there for the next 5 years. They really do. They really, really, really do. Again, providing that you provide a good service. And sometimes you can actually allow that to be inside your guys' contracts. Now, obviously, I get a lot of questions. How much do you load an ATM machine with? Honestly, guys, it just typically depends on how much transactions that the ATM is going to do. It's almost common sense, right? Inside one of our dispensaries, we're going to need to load that a lot more than if we were inside of just a regular barbershop. And the question is, you guys might be thinking, why, Austin? Well, because a dispensary does way more transactions than your typical barbershop does. So you're gonna have to load the barbershop with less money, and it also depends on how many times you wanna go back to load that machine. See, some people wanna put $1,000 in there, which is great, and you can absolutely do that, but just understand, depending on how often that the ATM gets used, that you will have to go back there periodically if it gets, $200 taken out of it every single day. Times that by 5, you're at $2,000, right? So understanding that within 5 days, you'll have to re-go fill it if $200 a day is taken out, then you guys are all right with that? Sweet, awesome, amazing, load it with your $1,000 or $2,000, right? So it just typically depends on how much transactions that ATM is gonna do in bar locations. Sometimes during Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, especially during football, some of our bars are fights or Saturday nights or anything like that, or events or Memorial Day on Mondays, right? So it just typically depends. Some of our bars go through $2,000 or $3,000 in one night. So again, you have to load those machines with $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Some of our ATM machines have 1, 2, and 3, and 4 cassettes, so that each cassette holds right around $16,000. So each cassette you can have up to $64,000 inside of an ATM machine at any given time. Now, is that often? Absolutely not. For those of you watching this that want to go take an ATM.
To start your own ATM business. So you get your contracts, you get the ATM, you get your customer, and by the way, also get a business account. This is very important to have a business account so you can keep your money separate from what the business is making. And when you register your company as an LLC, make sure you register it in maybe Florida or Wyoming or any of those states. Why tell me would I register those businesses in that state? Well, because you get a lower tax, because those states don't really charge that much tax. So, and by the way, you don't have to be operating the business in that state to actually register it in that state. So don't worry about that either. You got you covered. So now that you know that the startup cost is around $4,700 to actually start your own ATM business, you're probably asking me, Tommy, well, what are the monthly expenses expenses on this business, right? Because it has to have some type of expense, right? Well, remember when I told you that when you're actually negotiating with that business owner to actually get the ATM installed free, you're actually gonna have to give them a cut of the profits. So that's kind of an expense too, and that's a commission. So don't worry.
And just remember, that's always negotiable. Some locations you're gonna have to pay, and some locations you're actually not gonna have to pay.
It's a commission, so you get to deduct that from your taxes as your.
I would say about 75% of our portfolio is with happy clients and customers that don't earn a dang thing from the ATM. They just want it for the convenience of their customers.
Profits, so you don't get taxed on the whole thing. You get taxed on the profit that you actually made after you deduct that, right? So don't worry, that's covered. Now, say for example, most people out there they go from 25% to 35%, all the way to 65%. What does this mean? That sometimes, depending on the foot traffic that business is getting, by the way, foot traffic means the amount of people that are coming into the business. If there's a lot of people, between 4 to 8% of the people that come in are probably going to use the ATM. So it's very good, right? So say for example, the average business has around 150 people coming in. Let's do 0.04. So let's say 6 people use that ATM, and you're charging like $3. That's $18 that day times 30. Well, the ATM made $140, and that's on the low end. It could be like twice or double or triple that depending on what you put it in, right? But back to the expenses, right? So you have to pay this business owner around maybe 25 to 35, maybe even 45%. And if you put it in a specific location, for example, right, one of the highest earning locations for ATMs is probably a gentleman's club. And that's like a strip club if you don't know what a strip club is, right? And the reason is because everyone in that place needs cash to actually operate.
And so just to give you guys an idea, I know that's a lot of conversations right there in terms of questions. And Austin, why can't I land a gentleman's club? And the reason you can't land a gentleman's club, and I just want to remind people that are getting into the ATM business that are watching this video right now, for you, chances are you're not going to. And the reason being, unless you own your own, is because, you know, these guys that get their ATMs inside these locations are not dumb by any means. If you own a gentleman's club, chances are really high that you own the ATM. It's a $5,000, $2,500 investment to buy an ATM roughly, and then you fill it with this recyclable cash. Now, obviously, if you own a gentleman's club and you know it does that many transactions, it is an absolute no-brainer to own the ATM machine because it is 100% pure profit. You use the cash that you get on a nightly basis to just be able to refill that ATM machine. So getting into a gentleman's club, ladies and gentlemen, it's not really that possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, it's just not really that possible. It's simply because most of these guys are not dumb. The only way that you do end up getting into, like for example, we get into a lot of dispensaries because banking, right? Getting into the ATM business, one of the hardest things if you own and load the machine. If you just own and you don't load, it's not much of a problem. But if you own and load, mainly the loading part, you find it that your banks are not really gonna like it. So anyways, any larger bank that you guys have, your Wells Fargo, your Chase, your Bank of America, your any of those US bank, any of those banks that are larger or even smaller credit unions do not approve of the ATM business. And the reason for all of it makes 100% sense. 1 week there's $5,000 in the account, the next week there's $0. And the next week there's $5,000 in the account, next week there's $0. Next week there's $10,000 in the account, the next week there's $0. So the biggest struggle with certain businesses is that they can't get approved, their bank account can't get approved. And so that's why they have to outsource an ATM. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons on how you could get an ATM inside of a gentleman's club. Otherwise, majority of the times, you're just not going to.
So they don't really care if you have to pay like $7 or even $8 to use an ATM because it's like a premium thing. You know, everyone wants to go in there and just be baller, get the money, and then yeah, you know what I'm saying? So you can load up your ATM there and charge like $7 to $8. And since it's such a high foot traffic location, and other people actually want to take part into the business, you can offer like, hey, I'll give you 60% of the money, or maybe 50% of the money, and I'll take the other 50%, right? And that's how you do it. You actually create your own commission. Just don't be greedy because other people can actually notice that you're being greedy. And remember, you're negotiating with business owners, so they're not stupid. You know, they have their own business. Now, the second expense is the internet for the actual ATM. You didn't know that, huh? And basically, if you don't know this, right, every ATM uses internet to actually load everything up. Because remember, every time somebody swipes and they use the internet to actually check if that person has money to their account or they're not, and they get rejected or they get declined, and when that happens, you get sent a text. All that stuff happens with internet. If you want, you can use CardTron to actually do everything, like install the internet and everything like that, and they only charge around 0.20, I think, what is it, like 0.20 cents per each transaction, so that's not that bad. But also, if you want, you can just get your own modern and your own internet installed on the ATM. So for example, if you go to T-Mobile or AT&T, that's going to charge you like $20, and then you can put that modem. Again,
they're going to charge you 20 cents. Of course, they're going to charge you 20 cents, right? Again, that's another rip inside your personal profits that is going to take it out. If it's at $3 surcharge, they're going to take 20 cents right off the top. You're at $2.80 now. Now you're giving 50 cents to the business owner. Now you're sitting at $2.30 in profit. per transaction, it's starting to get expensive. You know what I mean? It's starting to get a little less profit. Now, however, what I would recommend for those of you that are installing that ATM machine and that dog barking absolutely happily is that, you know, most of the time I highly recommend you guys just installing an Ethernet cable. Most businesses have Wi-Fi, so you install an Ethernet cable from the cable box all the way to the ATM machine. You can hire a handyman on this beautiful platform called Craigslist for 50 or 100 bucks. He will wire the cable. You can buy a Ethernet cable at Walmart. You can buy an Ethernet cable at Lowe's. Pretty much anywhere you can get an Ethernet cable that just plugs into the back of your ATM and uses the business's Wi-Fi, which happens to be actually a lot faster, a lot easier and better, and less transactions get chargebacks because of sometimes the double charge that an ATM does with a wireless unit. Again, Wi-Fi is a lot better than you and I just sitting on LTE every single day. So keep that in mind.
There, you connect it to the ATM, and then that's it. It works perfectly. So the expense of the ATM is just really like the 20 bucks monthly for the internet, and then the 35% that you have to pay, maybe even 25, maybe 35, depending when you put it in to that business owner, so you can actually operate the business. And that's around it. There's not that many charges. Now, let's talk about everybody's favorite thing.
My name
Ads.
is Holbert.
I'm Dallas
Ads.
Wolford.
Million views.
Downsize and get rid of a lot of things.
Million views.
Tommy,
At least I'm giving him some
I'm
good watch time right now.
ATM. Well, if you were listening, I told you that the average business, like maybe between 4 to 8% of every person that comes in, right, they use the ATM. Remember, you want to install these ATMs in places that have a lot of foot traffic and are cash businesses. Like, for example, a barbershop, cash business. I've never seen one barbershop that takes cards. Not allowed. Strip clubs, gentlemen clubs, what else? Like pizza places. Like all of these things, like they're very useful, right? And even college campuses and bars, like, oh my gosh, they're killer. Remember when you put it in like a bar or something like that, where people are kind of like, you know, a little flimsy, you can set it like from $3 to maybe $4, $5, $6, $7, $8. So people won't even care because all they really care about is convenience, getting that cash so they can continue their party. So for example, let's say the average business has a foot traffic in New York, by the way. I'm talking about New York. I know you live in Kansas, and like the average business gets like 3 customers a day. Not a good idea to put ATM there. But say for example, you get 300 people coming in and out every single day out of this business, right? So 300 people. All right, 300 people, and say for example also that 8% of the people that come in use the ATM, right? So we times that by 0.08%. Now we got 24 people, right? Now listen to this, right? Guys, the average ATM cost, the average ATM charge, we call that subcharge in the ATM business, is only around $3, right? You're probably saying, Tom, that's not a lot, right? But check this out. So we have 24 people using the ATM every single day per transaction. And by the way, the average ATM transaction is around $60. So it's a lot. I'm gonna do the math for that too because I wanna make sure I cover everything.
So again, if based on his video, right? Based on his video, it does 24 transactions, which is actually possible in New York. Times that by $3, you're looking at $72 in profit. Times 30 days, you're looking at $21.60 in profit in 30 days from that one ATM. Now, is that likely? Probably not. Is that possible? Then sure. But is that going to actually happen with every single one of your ATMs? Absolutely not, right? So I just want to dive into one thing real quick, just for those of you that are still staying tuned to this video. If the average transaction is $60 per transaction with an ATM, times that by 24 transactions, $1,140 is being taken out of that ATM machine every single day. So you guys kind of get an idea. If you guys want to load the machine every single day, then yeah, put in $1,500. If you want to load the machine every 5 days, then yeah, put in $7,200. If you want to load the machine every 10 days, then yeah, you can go ahead and put in $14,400. Every 10 days, you would have to load that machine based on the stats of this chat here.
So we got 24 people coming in. We're charging them $3 per transaction. That's around $72 a day, and we do the same for around an entire month. We times that by 30 for 30 days, 1 month. We're getting like $2,000 every single month in that ATM. Say for example, you install 5 more ATMs in like 5 different locations, because you're not gonna put it in the same location to be competing with your own ATM. Does it make sense? We times it by 5. Well, that's $10,800. You're in the 5-figure income every single month. But here's the question, right? You're probably saying, Tommy, I get that, because you're not dumb, right? I know you guys are not dumb, and you're probably telling me, Tommy, I get that, but how much money is going to be in that ATM so that can actually happen? Because I don't have that much capital, bro. I don't have $100,000. So how much money can I actually put into this thing? So for example, remember I told you that CardTron provides a back office. So every time you put in like $2,000, right, and it's running out, you get a text and it tells you, hey, go reload. You know what I'm saying? And you can just go in and just reload it and use the same money because just recycling the money. You're not actually spending any money. So for example, say we do the same thing, right? 300 times 0.08, we get 24 people. Say those 24 people on average to take out like $60. So we times this by 60. So that's around $1,440 that have been withdrawn from an ATM that day. So that's practically means that every single day you're just gonna have to refill that ATM. But on average, guys, on average, because you know it says $60, but most of the time we're just taking like $20, $10. You know what I'm saying? So let's make it 24 times 10, like not even 10. 24 times $20 being taken out. That's only $480. Well, you reload it with $2,000. We divide 2,000 divided by 480. Well, we get 4 days basically, right? 4 days of business. So every 4 days you go in and you put in the money. And remember, since you made profits, I think it's $72 per day, right? So as you make profits, you just put that money in there too, and just keep doing it over and over and over.
And one thing I actually recommend for those of you that are watching this video right now is do not get daily deposits. Daily deposits will actually get your accounts shut down with your bank. I typically depending on everything, daily deposits is fine for the money that gets taken out, but I do not recommend getting your daily profits deposited to your bank account. That's just gonna cause more issues and more transactions are gonna be going into your bank account, which no bank actually likes that. So what we do is we do end of the month. So every single 10th, usually typically is when we get our payout. So every single 10th you would get your payout, or whatever day that the processing company that you personally work with does your processes or does your transactions or your month reports. That way you actually are able to get that monthly lump sum and it's a lot easier to be trackable rather than getting those daily deposits from 7 different ATMs. Every single month you just get one deposit from each ATM. It's actually a lot easier to track inside your bank account. It's a lot easier to see what your expenses and profits and everything like that is.
You know what the startup cost is, which I think is like $4,700. And you know what the expenses are, which I think like $40, $50. It's not that much. And now that you know what the profits are, which depend on the location, now you're probably asking me, Tommy, what are the challenges to this business, right? And it makes sense. You're very smart for asking that question. I admit it. And here's the thing, right? It's a hard business to get into. And the reason is because banks have actually started putting ATMs all around the area. For example, if you go on my blog, there's like a Chase there, a Chase down there, a Chase everywhere, and every single store has an ATM, right? But not every single store has an ATM. Because there's a whole bunch of new business actually happening every single day, and you can still manage to get something in, right? So for example, remember, business is business. It's like the wild, it's like the jungle. So for example, if I go into like, say for example, a strip club, right? And I know people are going to be using that ATM like crazy in that strip club, right? Because people are always wanting cash when they go to the strip club, and it's going to be crazy, right? And even in a bar or whatever, right? And there's already an ATM there. I would go in and I would say this, right? This is how you negotiate, guys. If you don't know how to negotiate, watch my videos and just read some books because that's how you get negotiation skills, right? But for example, I go in and I say, hey, I noticed you have an ATM. We actually, and remember, make sure you get like shirts printed out like with your logo and stuff like that, so you look like professional, you know, like a real business, even though like you're really not, like just one person. You're just like, hey, how are you doing this? I noticed you have like an ATM there, and I'm just wondering like how does it operate for you guys? Because we're actually in the ATM business also, and I have employees and everything that can come here, actually install the ATM for free, and most likely offer you a better cut than your provider is. So you probably ask like, hey, how much are you getting for that ATM? They'll probably say like, hey, we're getting like 30%, like 30, 40%. And I say like, wow, are you serious? 30, 40%? You see, that's great, but and I noticed that this ATM is kind of like an older model, so I know you care about your customers, because you're always coming to that person to fix their problem, never about you. Remember that, right? You say like, hey, and I noticed that ATM is probably like an old model, and you know old models, like, they can have some privacy issues and like some fraudulent issues, right? And I know that you care about your customers a bunch, right? And how about this, right? We actually have the new models in our company. We can actually come in as soon as like in 1 to 2 weeks, install this new ATM, give you a 50% subcharge, which means that you get 50% of the money that is actually gets swiped there, right? Because hey, it's your business and you're bringing in the customers, and we're just trying to help convenience, and it doesn't really matter. And by the way, this new ATM is going to provide you with the optimal security, so you can be happy knowing that
100%. What he's sharing with you guys is absolutely a negotiation tactic. Now, obviously, some of the struggles, by the way, Tommy Bryson, phenomenal video, man. We're going to end it right there. And I'm going to kind of dive into the struggles of the ATM business. But his negotiating skills were absolutely A1, on point, correct. So thumbs up for you, Tommy Bryson. But, you know, part of the deal that is a struggle or some negotiating tactics that you have to have if there's already an ATM machine inside that business is just offering them a lump sum cash, right? So rather than offering a more percentage of the surcharge, I would just offer them an upfront bonus of $500 or $1,000 or $300 or $200 to be able to take their ATM that they currently have out and put yours obviously in there. Now, obviously, one thing that you guys got to remember is a lot of these newer ATM companies actually do have contracts. So an ATM having a contract, you come to my ATM location and say, hey, I'll pay you $500 so that you can actually get this ATM out of there. They're going to say, yeah, of course, I want to do it. And then all of a sudden they're going to say, oh, wait, I have a contract, and that's part of the reason for having a contract. So rather than getting booted from all of these locations 24/7, 365 because somebody's just offering them more money than you can potentially do, then just obviously remember that and realize that having that contract is obviously crucial. But also to other companies that are kind of older and not in the game as much as as much as you personally are, then yeah, offering that person, especially if you are going to be able to give them a little better customer service, because that's really what the main part of this business really is giving them and offering them a better customer service and really just a customer experience for not only just them, but as well as their customers. So just remember that, and rather than just looking at it like a money game, as much as a money game it really is, and at least come from a good place in your heart and doing the right thing for that right customer. That way it will bless you with more money. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you guys for staying tuned to this video. Tommy Bryson, you're an absolute stud, man. Make sure and go subscribe to him, guys. I just wanted to do a reaction video to his video, just to kind of dive into some questions that a lot of you guys have been asking me. I haven't made an ATM video in a while, and so I figured I would make one. But his video is amazing. His video is incredible. Again, just some of the things that I share with you guys that I would or would not do. Again, it's not personal opinion. It's actually business opinion, just based on the fact that, you know, we've been in the business for a couple of years now, have a little over 100 machines, and we kind of been through the trials and errors and the tested problems that, you know, every ATM owner comes in contact with. So again, guys, I just want to thank you for smashing the thumbs up button on this video. Make sure and drop in the comment section below what you guys would like to see in future videos. Austin Lewis here saying we'll see you guys in another future video.